Society often views busyness and mistakes it as productivity, and also looks at stress and disguises it as caring, deeply caring about something. And we often glorify the entrepreneur who wakes up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, while we look at the person who goes to bed at 9 o'clock as some type of old person. But there's this idea, and I've heard people look at sleep and call it the cousin of death, or they kind of view it as wasting time, or see it as if we're taking our body and just parking it under the blankets for whatever amount of time we're sleeping. But sleep in reality is something that's magical if you take a step back and look at it. If you look at something as technologically incredible as a smartphone, and we're so impressed with how many things the smartphone can do, and when we recharge our phones, we plug it into a wall so that it can recharge. Whereas for us, the way that we recharge is just by doing nothing at all and just getting out of our own way and just laying down for 6 to 8 hours, and we wake up recharged, refreshed, and literally rebuilt. Sleep gives us the ability to reconcile the data and the impact that we've come in contact with throughout the day, and allows the mind and the brain to prioritize what's important and what's not. And of course, 6 to 8 hours is the recommended amount of sleep, but everyone is different. So personally, I've come across a few tactics that has worked for me to get a good night's rest. And those two tactics include sunlight and consistency. And the first one, sunlight, according to sleep researcher Dr. Matthew Walker, 30 to 40 minutes of natural light exposure in the morning releases chemicals in the brain that kickstarts our circadian rhythm. And I'll put links and resources in the show notes to some of the research that he talks about. But our circadian rhythm is our body's natural clock to realize when the day is starting and when it is ending. And the reason why that's important is because when that clock starts, roughly 16 hours after your internal clock realizes that the day has begun, about 16 hours after that, your body starts to release melatonin to let you know that you're winding down and you're getting ready to go to sleep. So a good night's rest actually starts right when you wake up. And exposing yourself to natural sunlight, and it doesn't have to be direct beaming light. I live in Northeast Ohio, where it's one of the cloudiest places in the United States. It doesn't matter. Being able to get outside for 30 to 40 minutes a day will be able to kickstart that circadian rhythm and helping you get into a smoother and deeper rest come 16 hours later. And to give you an example of how powerful and how engaged the human body is with the sun, I had an uncle, a late uncle, who had what was called Sundowner syndrome. And I felt like that was a made-up term until I looked it up. And it's a condition where people start to see behavioral changes when the sun goes down in the evening. And unfortunately for my uncle, he was coherent during the day. In the last few months of his life, he was coherent and able to have a conversation with people and remember things. But during the night, when the sun wasn't out, he couldn't remember people's names. He was having hallucinations, and he wasn't able to fully be mobile when it came to his walking. And unfortunately, there have been situations where he would find himself in a corner talking to people. And although that's an unfortunate situation that he had to deal and grapple with, it's just an example of how intimately our minds and our bodies are tied to the sun. And it's such a cheap and easy fix if you have the ability and you can do it, get out in the morning, spend 30 to 40 minutes outside in the sun, and engage your natural rhythm to help you get a better night's sleep. And then the second one that I talked about is consistency. Going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time every day. I've heard that Tom Brady says that that's the most important key to his physical ability to be consistent and be strong. And to me, I feel like this is the most challenging out of any tactics that I use to get a good night's sleep, is to have the discipline to get to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time every day, including the weekends. That discipline requires you to structure your day in a way that makes getting to bed a paramount priority. And for me, the bottom line of all of this comes down to this idea that there's a quote in some of my running training that says, stress plus rest equals success. And being able to focus on the stress part, I think people in America, we're very good at that. We're very good at having hard workouts or showing up to work early and leaving late. That's the stress part of things, and that's important to push your body past an uncomfortable state so that way you can grow. But it's essential that we have that rest part so that way we can reconcile and allow our bodies to make the proper adjustments towards our potential growth. And I feel like we need to make a shift in our cultural mindset to look at sleep more as a competitive advantage, because we know people aren't getting the sleep that they need. And instead of looking at sleep as time wasted, we must be honest with ourselves and ensure we're not wasting time while we're awake to get done what's needed for us to get the proper amount of sleep. And that means making sleep a priority, prioritizing it by scheduling sleep first, and then going and reverse engineering your calendar around sleep. So that way, those last minute things that you just have to get done are taken care of. So that way you can hit the sack each night, time after time, the same time, and waking up at the same time, including the weekends. So with that, thank you for your attention. Get some sunlight, get some sleep. I hope you're staying sane. I hope you're staying well. And until next time, have a great week.